We know local governments are coming to the RSAP from different starting points, so we want to make this information available in a variety of ways depending on where you are. If you're new to the Atlas or the RSAP, user guides are step-by-step tutorials that'll help you navigate the RSAP Atlas. For more technical users, we provide downloadable GIS data for integration into your own analysis. For the majority of users, you'll go to the Explore Map section of the Atlas. Before you get there, you'll need to accept a user acknowledgement agreeing to our terms and conditions, including the user's responsibility for reviewing the accuracy and completeness of data that they're using for their plan. In the Explore Map section, you can generate plan submittals using the Plan Assistant, understand what could be at risk of flooding with the Coastal Flood Hazard Explorer, and visualize RSAP data using the map layers and legend tools. I'm going to dive into the Plan Assistant to show you how the Atlas can support your planning for elements A, B, and C. The Atlas supports element A through the Plan Assistant by providing information on potential partners in planning and providing key data on vulnerable communities. First, you can select your jurisdiction type and jurisdiction. In this example, we'll be planning for the city of Alameda. Though census designated places, counties, and operational landscape units are other options as well. Next, let's select element A and a topic to get started. In this example, we'll be working on the identification of vulnerable communities. The Table tab here displays information relevant to your selection, here showing community vulnerability and Calvin virus screen data, and these can be expanded and exported to help you define and identify socially vulnerable populations. The Plan Assistant also can help you to identify your planning partners, your planning area, and multi-jurisdictional coordination opportunities. Data in element A is not required to be used, but is intended as a starting point to make decisions and verify local conditions. The Atlas supports element B through the Plan Assistant by providing data about physical, ecological, and social conditions. In this example, we're planning for the Napa-Sonoma OLU, or Operational Landscape Unit. Next, let's select element B and a topic to get started. In this example, we are mapping existing ecosystem health and resilience conditions. As with element A, the Tables tab provides lists or summaries of assets to help you describe existing conditions. These tables also highlight where an asset represents a strategic regional priority. These can also be exported as CSVs. We also highlight where you can get other resources, not in the Atlas, to help fulfill our SAP requirements. Here, linking to the SFEI's Balin's Resilience Framework report and data to help you describe ecosystem service characteristics. Map data can be turned on and off in the Layers tab. The Ecosystem Health and Resilience Conditions topic is also where we highlight nature-based adaptation suitability. These maps can be exported to share and identify your existing conditions using the print tool. An error may occur when trying to use the print tool due to the request size limitations. Try reducing the number of layers, zooming in, or capturing the map with a screenshot instead. The Atlas does not provide all information needed to create a plan. The Data Gaps tab highlights those data layers that are not included in the Atlas due to a lack of regionally available information. Local governments must make meaningful efforts to collect this data locally. The Atlas supports element C through the Plan Assistant by providing asset exposure analysis for each of the 4 required sea level rise scenarios. In this example, we'll be planning for Contra Costa County. Next, let's select element C and a topic to get started. In this example, we'll be mapping critical infrastructure exposed under the 3.1-foot sea level rise scenario. Tables provide lists of assets to help you describe exposure and understand strategic regional priorities. Maps can be used to visualize the exposed critical infrastructure and services and assets. And the stats help summarize exposure by comparing the exposed assets in the jurisdiction to the totals within the jurisdiction and also the region. It's important to note that we use modified geographic boundaries reflecting the bay shoreline, bay watershed, and bay coastal flood hazards, and do not include those assets in areas outside the RSAP analysis area. You can also click on an asset in the map to get additional information about hazard exposure, strategic regional priority status and methods, and then also links to technical reports. The atlas does not directly assess vulnerability, which requires analyzing sensitivity, adaptive capacity, and potential consequences. So that's the Plan Assistant. But if you want to dive deeper into the exposure analysis and look at impacts of individual hazard types, the Coastal Flood Hazard Explorer includes maps of the RSAP coastal flood hazards and sea level rise scenarios, helping you see how flooding at different sea levels could impact people, buildings, and services. In this example, we're exploring regional transportation exposure under the 3.1-foot sea level rise scenario. You can select all the hazards or an individual hazard type to visualize just those hazard layers and the exposed assets. For example, let's select emergent groundwater. The hazard layer symbology is simplified here, but you can see further information by clicking the asset. Sometimes you may see more than one hazard listed for the scenario that you've selected, and this indicates that the asset may be exposed to more than one hazard. All those hazards should be considered when developing adaptation strategies. Some local sea level rise impacts have regional consequences. For example, a flooded highway in one location can disrupt traffic far beyond the impacted area. The RSAP identifies 8 strategic regional priorities to help focus local efforts on the most critical regional issues. Local governments must address them in plans when present. The Atlas provides map layers of all the strategic regional priorities. In order to see strategic regional priorities, you can expand this list in the map layers and toggle on the visibility of the topic area of interest. In this case, we'll be selecting shoreline contamination strategic regional priority. You can click again on any individual asset to get pop-ups that provide additional information about the strategic regional priority analysis and criteria that helped identify it. Understanding the source of a data set is important in helping local governments assess its suitability for use in their plan. In some cases, local governments may have data that is more suitable for fulfilling plan requirements. We encourage you to use locally refined data representing hazards or assets when available. The Atlas provides access to information about our data sets in the Resources tool. Here you can select metadata and the data set of interest and get additional information about the sources, any methodology and analysis or processing steps that occurred, as well as information, again, about the strategic regional priorities relevant to that topic. Finally, local governments who are more advanced in their plan development, are planning with their neighbors, and or have high technical capacity may want to integrate Atlas data into their existing analysis. The Atlas provides most data sets and analysis available for download through the RSAP Open Data Portal. The data in this Open Data Portal come from a variety of sources and are provided as is for planning use only. You can search for a data set or browse our catalog to find what you're looking for. Once you've clicked through, you can identify the layer of interest and find the data available for download in a variety of formats. These include tables, CSVs, shapefiles, file geodatabases, and the data can even be imported into an existing web map.